All right. So I just wanted to share. Hello. Can we all put them on mute? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
It's best that we could keep the speaker on mute and maybe also the video for some time. Okay, so good morning once again, and I'm happy to be part of the consultant group and again get into this session for another new topic, which is very interesting. I had a session with the same group last week, 22nd, and we discussed quite a few tips on communication and public speaking and presentation skills. So although the session was a very short session, but I made some efforts to give as much as I could, and I was looking forward to some good questions. Maybe you have some of you have my contacts. I will share the contacts again at the end, and you can always post those queries in case you're not able to put it here and separately to me. Is that fine, all of you? You can unmute for a second and say yes or whatever.
Yes, yes,
Good.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. How many of you have you attended the session last week, which I gave on communication?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. There are quite a few of my friends here, so maybe this this subject also good. This subject also would be as interesting, probably more interesting than the previous topic, because this is a topic which is actually very different from many of the other subjects that we handle in this group or any other group. Now, I just wanted to share the screen, the opening screen, which says that about myself in very quickly, and with reference to the topic that we are having today, it's going to be quite interesting. I'm not able to move the screen. One second. Oh my God. Oh, hold on, please. Is there any problem in moving the screen? Anyway, this subject. Is the screen moving at your place? No, right?
No.
I don't know why it got stuck all of a sudden. It was all okay till this minute, Hello, the host, can you help me on this? One second, I'll reshare. This is also good learning for me, actually. Okay, now we got it. Thank you very much for your patience. So I was just trying to say that this was the subject I was connecting last week about where I came from, what did I do, and how I reach wherever I reach today. And all this has happened with some amount of I would say struggle and efforts, both put together. Now, the topic I handled last time, communication skills, was also a topic which I have learned along the way, and it didn't come all of a sudden from the top. I had to make efforts to learn. Similarly, today's topic about writing, which is a very important topic for all of us, because we nowadays we tend to write as little as we can, maybe because of technology, maybe because of so many reasons. But writing again is such an important skill. We keep doing it, but we are doing it unconsciously or subconsciously. So now today we need to come out and see how best we are doing this, the habit of writing, and how it can give us success. Now, success is a very commonly addressed topic in many forums and many places. But according to me, with respect to writing, it actually gives you that extra advantage compared to others if you are a good writer, if you can express yourself in writing quite well. If you have seen a lot of successful people, big top name, you can name so many people who have written their books, who have written their journals, who have contributed to the writing profession, because they know that whatever they express in writing form can actually help them to fill it to the next level. So I chose this title as Writing for Success for that particular reason, is that I have been a little, I have come to the stage of achieving something in my life once I started developing the art of writing, and it came very late in my life. But when it came, the last 10, 12 years, I've been writing quite well and quite frequently. So I think I have actually taken a lot of benefit and advantage from this skill. That's the reason I wanted to share whatever I achieved in my life on this. So it's good to go. So this is the agenda that we have today. Like last time, we have about 4-5 top subjects we can cover. And so the topic is, the agenda is, the first question is why. Every time we need to ask why we are doing this. Second is, some of you attended my last session, know what is MASS. So it is the repeat, but it's the connecting factor between the last session and this session. That's the reason I put this again in today's subject. So and then you have CPR, which is pulmonary resuscitation. I don't know how to pronounce it. So it is cardiopulmonary resuscitation, where it helps the person to, come up, the heartbeat again starts. Then we have business writings and modern writing. What are the challenges and how we can get into modern writing skills? And this 5W1H concept, especially in email writing. And the last, which is a caution, which will be a highlight for today's session. So are we good to go? Can I have a yes on this from everyone?
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
great. Okay, good. So now, when I said writing is actually a skill which has to be practiced, and it takes a good amount of time. I would say it takes a good amount of time for us to actually learn the skill of some audio is on. So maybe I will request the audio to be put off. Okay, good. So writing is a skill which takes time, and it comes with practice. There are people, as I said, there are people who have been successful, have done something in life, and then took up to writing. So they have actually taken that time to understand what to write and how to write in a particular format. This is number one. Number two is many people, I have referred many people, but one of the important businessmen, David Ogilvy, said that good writing is not a natural gift. Please understand, many of the things that we have in our system as human beings are naturally given to us, gifted to us. But sometimes we feel that writing is just normal for everybody. But people who are good writers, people who write well, people who can present well, people who can represent things pretty well in words and sentences, have learned that skill with a lot of efforts. So especially in business writing, when you write in terms of your businesses and your daily routine, we need to write to express, not to impress. Because if we start writing to impress, we'll always have that feeling that we need to do something for ourselves, what we get. But when you start to express it, it is for the others. So it should be in a way that how the other person, the person who is reading, or person who is listening, or person who is actually viewing those things that you have written, it takes that your expressions to the next level. The goal is to basically to inform the reader. That's the simple goal of writing, but it has to be in a clear language. Actually, it should help the reader to understand the information clearly and easily. It should not be, put in such a fashion that he refers to dictionary and he refers some other journals or internet to understand what it is. So it should be presented in a way that's easily understandable. Definitely, it should be concise, it should be clear, and this aspect requires a lot of skill. How to write something, maybe a long subject, but in concise manner, and it has to be in clear. It should be clear for people to understand. So it's a skill which will take some time for us to develop. But today it's just I'm just giving some idea what are the challenges we face and how to get to know, to learn, to how to write well. Now, as people who have attended last time, MAS again is MASS. Is there anyone who can say what is MASS?
M is material.
Good. Anyone, you can just jump in. Anybody. A is, okay, what we remember one. Okay, what is S, sir? One of the S? Unmute and maybe, is there anyone who can remember what is MASS? Okay, M actually is material, as I don't know who responded. I'm thankful for that response. And A is audience, S is self, and S again is situation. Again here, like we did in communication, in writing skills, in business writing, or in any writing for making it successful, it is important that we have the audience in mind. Who is the audience for when you, say for example material, for example. Material is the content that we write and the subject that we are writing to another person who is reading the content. So the content has to be for the the person who knows the subject can write that content, that material very well. So he or she has to do quite a bit of research, get to know what it is, maybe understand the subject much better before even he or she writes the first word of a sentence. So that material is an important skill. Second is audience. Audience, we need to identify who is going to see that what you have written. If you are writing an email, who is the audience? Who is seeing it? And who are the group of people who are seeing it? If it is written to say to all, then who are the people who are seeing it? What is their profile? How will they take this message across to them? Are they all in the same frame of reference when you're writing something to them? For example, in a business email, when you write an email, especially when you put all to all, you need to be extremely careful the type of words you are using and the type of sentences and the tonality of those, because each person will understand is totally differently. Every word can get 2 or 3 meanings at least to other person. So please understand that you need to be very crisp, very clear, and very precise when you are looking at that particular set of audience. Why is self important in writing? Self is actually very important, I would say, because unless I know my limitations, I will not be able to learn how to better myself. So first is learn to know our limitation. For example, I am not very well in writing in English, and which is needed for my daily communication or daily writing skills. Then I need to develop that skill to a certain extent where I can actually communicate it to the person who is actually seeing what I'm writing. So that is one skill. Second is I need to use it in the way I need to develop the skill of empathy. I need to develop the skill of patience. So these qualities of the self is very important in writing also. And situation, as I said the last time, situation is again very a crucial thing that we need to look at when you are actually writing, is because what is the type of positioning of that particular written material that you are writing to? Is that the time, the right time? Is that the right place to write that particular stuff? Will it be received in the right manner? Is all that we need to be very importantly looking at. Now I said CPR in my agenda, and that CPR is actually cause, process, result. Now, as technical consultants and engineers and experienced people in the industry, I would definitely feel that all of us understand what this cause, process, and result is. Now, in writing also, the result, the outcome comes basically from the thoughts of the person who is writing. Now, if the thoughts are clear, if the thoughts are pure, if the thoughts are to the context and the content that is been written, the outcome also is going to be good. What is the outcome? The outcome is the effect it takes on the reader. So if the person who is writing a mail or a memo or an article or a blog or whatever it is in today's terms, as technology has helped us, is what is the outcome of that particular content that we are writing? Definitely define the purpose for which we are doing this particular writing event. And thirdly, we need to have best practices. We need to know all that is needed to present that particular written material in the manner in which it is clearly and clearly understood and appreciated by the audience. Appreciate it doesn't mean that they should throw flowers on you or give a medal. They should be able to empathize, and they should be able to take value from what you have written. So if you, in a business context, this is a very, very important area where we need to develop those skills. For example, if you are writing a proposal to a customer, and the proposal has a lot of technical details. So what are the best practices followed in the industry in which the customer is? Or what are the best practices followed to write that type of a article or a subject matter? So we need to understand, we need to learn those best practices and put it in practice. Of course, before even we do anything, we need to revisit what we have written. That's also called proofreading in writing. So if you revisit what you have written and ensure that the processes that we have followed are properly audited, or maybe or checked, then the action will be towards the desired result. Now, why we need to do writing is because it helps to meet organizational needs. It helps to, it's a solution which is primary, not what you know. We all know so many things, but does it address the solution? Does it address the need of the reader or the person who is receiving that information? And third is, it is both for internal and external customers. In an organization, we have internal, we have external customers. Internal customers are those who work with us, our colleagues, our peers, our boss, maybe even the security guard or the cleaner, or so many other people who are in contact with us on a regular basis, especially when we are in an office. In a lockdown situation, maybe it is slightly different. But and then we have external customers who are our stakeholders, like our customers, our shareholders, our suppliers, our value chain, and so many other things. So if the communication or the written communication especially has to be important for them, it should be relevant for them, and it should be interesting for them to read and understand and take it forward. Now, interesting is an important aspect, because only if it is interesting, they will want to reply to you back. If it is not interesting to them, they will keep it aside and maybe take it up later, and they will not be enticed to reply to your or respond to your message. Please, it's very important, because writing also connects to the psychological aspects of individuals. Now, if many people say that writing is a skill, or writing is a habit which we develop at a very, very young age. Now, we learn through listening, we learn through hearing. We hear words, we listen to words, and then slowly we develop the habit of writing. So as if we have developed good listening habits, good hearing habits about certain good things, we will also write very well. Now, if we start writing very well, we also represent that writing to people who want it that way. Especially when you want to give a bad news. Maybe as an employer, you want to give a strong message to your employee, or to your workers, or to the factory owners, or even to your colleagues or peers. There is a way to actually write those words. Now, in today's world, we use a lot of WhatsApp. And the feelings of the words which the other person takes from a WhatsApp message, we are not able to gauge that. We are not able to identify that. So we need to be extremely careful to the choice of words, because it is a psychological phenomenon, and it addresses the thought needs or the emotion needs of the person who is reading it. What are the basic purposes of business writing? First basic purpose is
why? Second bullet of last slide of why.
Hello.
What you know is secondary. Little more clarity required.
Can we take this at the end, sir, if you don't mind, sir? I will park that question because I think the time is too short. I will have to explain to you what the secondary is. What you know is secondary. That means, suppose I know a subject very well, and I want to express it in writing. That is not very important. But what is important is whether that writing I am giving or putting it across, does it help in achieving the solution, or solving a problem, or addressing a point what the other person or the listener or the person who's viewing it is important. So the solution it addresses is more important than the content that is written. So content is secondary. solution is primary. That's my reference.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, first, for the purpose of business writing is to inform. That means when we write, we need to inform something. It can be a persuasive message. It can be sometimes you need to write a little humorously so that the other person. There are occasions when we use those skills, and sometimes you need to be very, very upfront about something. So the information is being put it in across. Even in business writing, the first thing, the purpose is to inform people. The second is to request or persuade. There could be many areas where we need to request for information, or we need to request for action, or we need to request for the person. It can be transmitted to a host of people. For example, you're looking for a meeting with your staff, or with your stakeholders, or with your customers, or suppliers. You need to request in a written format so that the communication goes to the other side. Sometimes you need to persuade. That means what is persuasion is we need to say that this is important for you, and this is why we need you to be part of the meeting, or we need to be part of the system. So we those type of words, those type of styles are little different, and definitely it builds goodwill. You write well, you build good relationship, and relationships are the key in today's world, because if there are good relationships, everything else falls in place. So writing well also develops very good goodwill. Now, how do we do it? First and foremost, we must think before we start writing. How do we think before you go? For example, there is a situation where you need to write to your customer on certain rules that are been brought up by the government. Now, the customer is in a different frame of mind. How do you address a difficult information to the customer? It can be as simple as telling the customer that the processes need to be looked at again, and you need to do the tweaking. Now, think before you start writing this. Will the other side see it the way you are seeing it, or feel the way you are feeling it? So you have to start thinking before even you start writing. Secondly, it should be formal and friendly. Now, kiss with appropriate tone. What is kiss? Anybody can respond.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple and short. Thank you, sir. Now, keep it simple and short is okay. We all understand. But what is the tone that we use when you write? Now, this tone is the power of the words, the meaning the words give in that sentence. Any sentence can be, anything can be written in different forms. The formats can be different. But if the tone is proper, and the frequency of the tone is to the liking or the need or the requirement of the other person, then whatever you have to transmit goes across in that fashion. So the tone is very important. Nowadays, we may write certain things and somebody else has thought it totally differently. So we need to give that benefit that, okay, the person can see or can think of these words and sentences in a different fashion. So we need to appreciate that point, that other person may not be as in the same frame of mind as you at that time of reading. So you need to have appropriate tone. Now, today's world is quick. Information has to be done quickly. So we need to find and get to the information quickly. First, we need to get the proper information, collect that proper information, sequence it properly, and then transmit it as quickly as possible, so that the time it takes for the person to read that is also not wasted, and the action also is quick, because any moment lost is a loss of business, and business loss is money loss. So it has to be done quickly, and you can do it by highlighting something, coloring it out, so that the person, when he sees whatever written, sees those colored things, those highlighted things, those things that you put it in data form easily. So as you said, as the effective way is to convey to drafts, to maps, to slides, and to charts, so that you don't have to write too many things, and it is available to see for the person in immediate need. So effective way of is to use those tools. What is a good the criteria for good writing? Is it has to be clear, as we have said, clarity. It has to be complete. When you start something, sometimes what happens is the other person doesn't get to know what you have written. maybe it is confusing, or maybe it is not fully written, or it is just maybe just giving information and not actually completing it. So you need to complete the information. You need to start properly and complete it properly, so that like for example, when you write a letter, we write thanking you, yours regards. This has been a template for a very long time in the past. So certain styles nowadays are used as thanks and regards, kind regards, things like that. So that is a complete way of, just if you put it just by the last word and then we don't know what the next words are, it becomes a little difficult for the other person to get what you're trying to say. Then it has to be correct. Correctness is not actually accuracy. Correctness is something related to the feeling, or whether it is actually giving that particular words that are used the right meaning. That's why it is called correctness. Correctness is related to meaning. It saves readers time. You have to write in such a fashion that it saves the reader's time. Like in the previous slide, I said use those colored and nothing. So it saves readers time, where the reader is about to able to get to what actually you're written in a very quick amount of time and very effectively. Of course, it said we build goodwill is what we have already handled. Now, the final few slides will be on modern writing and other things. So the modern writing needs, as we said in the previous, have speed. You need to be very quick, but you need to be also smart. You need to know what exactly you're writing with empathy. Then it should be short, simple, and concise. The time is money, so it has to be easy for other person to use it, share it, reply to you, and take decisions. So it is that crucial that we learn how to write well. It has to be get to the point. How is more important than what? How we write anything is more important than what you write something. And now this how is a behavior. It comes to behavior. If you are in a good mood and if you are calm and contented, you will write those words also that way. Now, as consultants, you may feel that why we are doing all this. This is pretty simple. It's schoolish, right? But the purpose of getting into this is to refresh what we are not doing, so that we can do things better next time. So that's the purpose of doing all this. Almost all of this, what I'm suggesting is you may be aware of it. So all right. So of course, jargons don't fetch business at all, and definitely jargons don't fetch bigger business. You may need jargon, that technology guys, that people who are in the field who are technically oriented, they want to present it to some technical words and technical details. You may tend to use jargons, but the audience is also able to understand those jargons. But sometimes what happens is the audience may or may not understand all the jargons that all the technical words you have put. So we need to be careful to limit those number of words or phrases or jargons, so that the entire content that you're writing doesn't become too loaded or too difficult for the other person to read, and then maybe you tend to lose business because it's so difficult. So that can be kept in on the back burner. He or she may not want to read it. So, and difficult words kill potential deals. I think you all would have experienced this in your day-to-day life, where if you put difficult words instead of creating, and if it might look very flashy. Oh, I'm putting those words and making a big impression, but it doesn't give any weight onto the on the potential lead. And it will be sensible and professional. What is sensible is different from being sensitive. Sensitive is big different, because sensible is you are smart. Sensible is something related to being smart, and you need to know that, okay, I am a sensible. The other person, I would appreciate if he's also as sensible in appreciating what I'm trying to write. So there has to be a match and a frequency, sync. Then it has to be secure. Nowadays, security is a big issue, and we need to write something which is only written for that particular purpose and not anything else which can, go into some other domain, and we need to be careful about that. It should, as I said, sensitive is different from sensitivity. Sensitivity is an emotion and empathy. So the other person who feels, if he or she is reading what you're writing, he must be able to see exactly the way what you see when you're writing. And that is a very difficult skill to learn. So you have to keep practicing how to write well. Get feedback. Get feedback from the from what you have written. Maybe you need to be a little open to get critical feedback. So that will help you to improve going forward. Of course, emotions are important, but being emotional is not the good thing to be. Emotional is a negative part, and emotions are good. There is a big difference between these. Now you have to be objective, because if you are objective, you can use data, which is a new oil. This is the most important subject we are all talking today: data, data, data. So you need to be objective, but not subjective. Subjective is you're actually saying something, but you are not saying everything, or you are saying something, but not for the sake of saying it. So it should be objective. It should be to the point, to be clear and correct. And long texts do not sell; they only tell. So you need to be having a selling attitude towards. Selling is not a bad thing, I would say. Selling attitude is there has to be a purpose to which the other, it should supplement the purpose to which you are doing. So that's the meaning of selling here. Cater specific needs. You identify what exactly is the need, or what exactly is the other person or the viewer looking at, and then address that specific need and specific purpose and aspiration. You go around the bush, beat about the bush. Maybe that person is losing the main message, so you need to be careful of that. Now you need to create mind retention and core. What is core reference? Core reference is when you have written something and when it is interesting for that person to read and take action or put it in life, he or she will refer somebody else, and there you get more and more connection. More you get better brand word. Your brand image increases. It becomes perfect. Mind retention. Whatever you written should remain in the mind. And if it remains in the mind, you can start looking at it, thinking about it, and make, if it's a best practice, then you can put those best practices in use. Especially the most important skill to learn is email writing nowadays. Nowadays, we don't write too many emails, but definitely we have a lot of leeway to learn how to write good email. 1/3 of the entire time is used for writing email. To the next day. So it may not seem as important as when you have actually started writing. When you actually started, you may say, oh, it's very important. But when you finish it, and when you go back to it and read it, you may feel it has less importance. So you need to first stop, wait. Do you really need? And the most important thing is hold on. Hold on before you click that send button. Hold on for some time. Think before you leap. Here, you have to think many times before you send that message, because it may not. You need to be hello. It should be truly relevant and necessary for the person who is listening. So with this, I come to the end of today's session, and I think I have taken the allotted time, and with a lot of gratitude, I want to thank each one of you for having been present here and being cooperative to listen to what I've said and maybe taken a few points. So if you have any questions, I'm there to respond to the best of my ability.
Mr. Varadarajan, the last slide is the most important, and that should be again and again seen by everyone.
Acha, main dal leta hu, sir. This is the one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this very most is the crux of